What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. And yeah. Well, to all my Eagle fans, take a seat. Everyone that's not a fan of the Eagles, pretty much should just assume now if Philadelphia loses in prime time, probably not going to be an Eagles video the day after. I'm going to have that Eagles loss hangover. That combined with how bad Madden 21 is, it's not going to be a healthy combination. So hopefully tomorrow, the plan is tomorrow will be part 2 of the Ravens realistic rebuild. Day after that, we're going to pick up the pace on the Eagles franchise so I can hit that offseason sooner than later. But today, let's talk about the Eagles. I haven't made Eagles videos at like this frequency since, I don't even think I was making them like this much the Super Bowl year. It was probably Chip Kelly year. Because, negativity set, I have an opportunity, like the Super Bowl year, I'm not someone that would make a lot of videos, an excess amount of videos gloating because everything was going well. But it's like negativity is when you want to vent your frustrations, and this is how I vent my frustrations, here and on my Twitter. So, that's probably why the uptick in content. We'll talk quickly about the grades from last night's loss against Seattle, and then we'll kind of extrapolate that into a little bit of what's going on, how I'm truly feeling. Nose is a little bit itchy if I'm doing this. It's not like I have a drug habit or drug issues or anything like that. COVID test, COVID update. Still waiting for my results. My kid and my girlfriend got tested yesterday as well. Their stuff came back negative, so it's looking pretty good for me, but nothing official just yet. So, I got a little bit of a runny nose still. Bear with me. So, last night, Philly lost 23-17. Game wasn't really that close. Last second Hail Mary touchdown to Dick Rod, old Richard Rodgers. I feel like he had one of those when he was in Green Bay too. Maybe that's a specialty of his. The quarterback play, just everything that's going on with the quarterbacks last night explains my feelings about Carson Wentz. I feel like while my overall take sounds like I defend Wentz a lot, which I kind of do, you still have to be point blank period. He's not playing good. He has regressed terribly, and it's not good. But the rain of shit that's coming down, trickling down from everything above these quarterbacks was on full display last night. From the talent that's getting put on the field from the front office to Doug Peterson's personnel decisions, to Howie Roseman's personnel decisions, to the play calling. It's just raining shit. And we've seen really talented quarterbacks in the past. I like referring Philadelphia right now to like peak Mike McCarthy Packers after they won the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, right? It was bad play calling. The personnel wasn't up to stuff. But while that rain of shit was coming down, like Aaron Rodgers did a pretty good job making sure he got covered. Making sure he stayed out of it as much as he could. And now, since LaFleur's gone there, he's back. He's fine. He was able to, clean himself off, have a nice shower, and he's back being in the MVP conversation. Carson Wentz right now is in the same situation with the shit's just raining down, and he's out there like a goofy Bible camp kid, like, getting covered in shit. And that's bad. But that does not excuse the fact that a good, stable, fully functioning, excellent, well-ran organization, there should be no shit fall. Maybe a couple squirts here and there. Once a week you have tacos. But it's not supposed to be continual every single game. That's what's going on in Philadelphia. Hopefully that analogy makes sense. But last night was terrible. Carson Wentz, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. One of those touchdowns was the Hail Mary. The interception was horrific. Very bad interception. Peak Carson Wentz 2020. Jalen Hurts came in for 2 plays. First play was a 5-yard completion to Alshon Jeffrey. Second play was something wrong with the helmets, and we ended up having to burn a timeout. It was just completely mismanaged. Made no sense whatsoever. Hate it. Absolutely hate it. But, I'm actually at a little bit of a crossroads right now because on one hand, I firmly believe Carson Wentz is the more talented quarterback between him and Jalen Hurts. And I think Carson Wentz is the starter here in Philadelphia. But then there's that whole, how much longer are you going to have no accountability for Carson Wentz's bad play? You still technically, whatever the optics are, second-round quarterback in Jalen Hurts, and he hasn't had a chance. And as long as Carson Wentz keeps playing bad and not getting pulled, it just feels like there's a lack of accountability. Doesn't mean that when you pull Carson Wentz, it's the end of the Wentz era. Right? Changes are going to have to happen in the offseason. I think Philadelphia absolutely should copy and paste whatever the hell the Buffalo Bills did to help out Josh Allen. Less, obviously, the Stephon Diggs trade, which is a big part of it. But Josh Allen's mechanics look better, making better decisions. The play calling's better for him. We need to do that. But that's not going to happen mid-season. I do have an idea, a suggestion how something like that could happen. But ultimately, the lack of accountability, as much as I'm anti Jalen Hurts, what's the worst that can happen at this point, right? Like, let's at least see what the kid has for. Give him a half. Give him a half. And at the worst, for me, it's a kick in the ass for Carson Wentz that, like, we give Jalen Hurts a game, and then, look, you're going to lose your job if you don't play. Like, I just feel like maybe he doesn't have that looming over his head right now, that lack of accountability. Same in a certain regards when we peel out to the running backs. Miles Sanders has been good running the ball, but his drops have been absolutely killing the Eagles. And he had a fumble in the red zone last week against Cleveland. Like, we have Boston Scott, who's literally had one start against the Giants, was unreal in that game. Absolutely unreal. Was the best player on the field. And yet, it's just much like Carson Wentz, there's no accountability. But, Miles Sanders will still be running back one instead of Boston Scott, the same that Carson Wentz will still be quarterback one instead of Jalen Hurts. And I think that messaging is not good. It's not healthy for a locker room. And it's just the state of the Eagles. It's the state of the Eagles. So quarterbacks get an F from last night. The running backs were bad. Carson Wentz did lead the lead the team with 42 yards rushing. And if you look at Carson Wentz highlights from North Dakota State, they pretty much ran him like Josh Allen in Buffalo, right? Big cannon arm, play action, get him rolling out of the pocket, and have like a couple design QB powers. Carson Wentz is a scrambling quarterback. And I know the whole injury thing, we paid him $100 million, get to protect your quarterback. We got to be on that. We got to just be like, everything that's happened, you have regressed. Let's just hit the reset button, go back to North Dakota State. Just get back to playing like there, and maybe that can work. That's probably the only way if they're going to continue with Carson Wentz as a starting quarterback this year, which I'm not going to have an official take on that. I think they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. What's the harm in... I still think, personally, we should go back to Carson Wentz, North Dakota State, revert everything back, make it as simple as humanly possible for Carson Wentz to play like Carson Wentz. And then if he still sucks, what's the harm in playing Jalen Hurts? I think that's my official take on the quarterback room. But, you saw Wentz can scramble. Wentz can make plays with his legs. There should be designs ones. But then again, there should be design rollouts, and Doug Peterson just doesn't call them. So it is what it is. Running backs were bad last night. Dallas Goedert, 7 catches, 75 yards with a touchdown. Richard Rodgers had the Hail Mary touchdown. 5 for 40 for Boston Scott. Goedert's good. The more we see of Dallas Goedert as tight end one, the more it's like, yeah, Zach Ertz wants a raise. He could probably get that somewhere else. The biggest telling from the wide receivers, first of all, Jalen Reagor, 3 catches, 11 yards, couldn't get separation on any plays. Glad we drafted him in the first round. And Travis Fulgham, since Alshon Jeffrey's come back, his snaps have just nosedived. He's been the silver lining on the offense. Alshon Jeffrey comes back, absolutely washed, and we just stopped using Travis Fulgham. Is that Carson Wentz's fault too? Like, everything. It's that analogy, the shit analogy. That is how I feel about this organization. Like, it's just, they're doing everything to spite Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz isn't helping himself. That's where we're at, honestly. Special teams, Jake Elliott, like, giving him that big contract, it's another notch on just the terrible decisions Howie Roseman has done. I get it, Jake the Snake, Super Bowl winning kicker, all that stuff, but he is, unless you are the upper echelon of a kicker, unless you're a Justin Tucker, Butker, you should not get like long-term guaranteed money, because kickers are almost like they have a lifespan, they have a shelf life. And I think Philly said if we cut, or someone on Twitter said if we cut Jake Elliott, it's like a $2 million dead cat. Like, that's so bad. Defensively, Fletcher Cox and TJ Edwards are probably the only players that, Derek Brent. Let's be honest, Darius Slay had a bad game against DK Metcalf. And then we found out that, like, Jim Schwartz was taunting DK Metcalf before the game. Fucking idiot. And everyone, the defense played well. At the end of the day, the defense played well enough to win this game, honestly. Derek Barnett was very good. Javon Hargrave made some plays. It was probably Nickel Roby-Coleman's best game as an Eagle. Alex Singleton looks like a bona fide starter for the Philadelphia Eagles at linebacker going forward. Fletcher Cox maybe had his best game. TJ Edwards played very well. Everyone outside Darius Slay. And, it is one of those things that's a very, very tough assignment for Darius Slay. But ultimately, that's what we paid him to do. Like, looking at the next couple weeks, we got next week. Who do we have next week? Green Bay, Devontae Adams, Darius Slay. It's your job to stop him. We're paying you elite corner money to stop these guys. It didn't work against DK. You have Devontae Adams next week, and in 2 weeks, DeAndre Hopkins. I need to see at least one of these guys get shut down. Like, he has to shut down one of three and contain one. Like, you can give up one, contain one, and shut down one. That's more pain for Darius Slay. Big couple weeks for him. But generally, the defense was good. The defense gets a B+. They kept us in this game, and it was so frustrating when they would get, like, first 2 drives, they got 2 turnover on downs, forcing punts, and then offense just, like, negative 11 yards. Like, it sucks. And this is, like, another one of those things where it's, you know, when we talk about who's getting fired and all these different things, it's like, you know, Jim Schwartz. It's Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz will have 8 bad games, 8 good games, break even as a mid-tier DC. What do you do with that? This was one of those games. And, you know, the fallout is now Philly holds the number 6 pick. And we found out today during the press conference that Doug Peterson is open to giving up play calling. To who? Deuce Staley? Same guy that has a terrific running back rotation. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. And there's a lot of people on social media talking about Louis Riddick last night on ESPN. Louis Riddick could potentially be, you know, the successor to Howie Roseman. He worked in Philadelphia before. He was the director of pro personnel from 2010 to 2013. Director of pro personnel essentially works hand in hand with the GM, and their job, a lot of it is like scouting around the NFL. Like they do the prep and the legwork to like get ready for free agency and make sure that they make the best personnel decisions in free agency. That was Louis Riddick's job when he was here last in Philadelphia. Dream team. He was part and with Howie Roseman responsible for the dream team here. So get him the fuck off the list. No, thank you. No, thank you. We're good. Thank you. So yeah. I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. I think, again, like I keep evolving my ideas. I've made a couple videos talking about Howie Roseman, you know, all these guys, who should go first, replacements and all that stuff. And it's just one of those things where if I'm like now going to take this from the viewpoint of Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I look at it as this. Howie Roseman needs to go. 100% Howie Roseman needs to go at this point. And the whole, like, literally, if I was Lurie sitting up there in that press box, DK Metcalf couldn't be any more the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. You're sitting here as Jeffrey Lurie looking at all your young players not get separation, and you'll get a guy that you visit like 100% past him. We drafted a big wide receiver in the second round ahead of DK Metcalf, who's a big wide receiver in the second round. And you just watch this guy kill you twice. The 2 games he's played us, he's absolutely killed us. Like, that's all I need to see. Changes need to be made. Well, he's drafted 1 Pro Bowler since 2013. Howie Roseman has to go. And then when it comes to Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz, we have the commitment, the financial commitment to Carson Wentz. There is no getting around Carson Wentz's salary cap. This roster is very expensive. There's just no way around it. So if you're Jeffrey Lurie, you're looking at it as, again, Doug Peterson, bring in an OC to give up the play calling. Like, Doug Peterson needs to take on a Mike Tomlin role. Doug Peterson is a good players coach. I think generally Doug does a lot of things that a head coach needs to do very well. I think it would almost be borderline unfair to fire Doug Peterson without giving him the opportunity to just do what we did the Super Bowl year. The Super Bowl year with Doug Peterson had an all-star coaching staff. And you might not be able to replicate that in one offseason, but I think Doug needs to surround himself with good coaches again. He's internal hires and all this stuff that's happened since that Super Bowl year has just not been good enough. Give Doug an offseason to bring in a proper OC. Maybe change things up on the defensive side of the ball. But a reset there and staff around Doug before I would fire Doug. But ultimately, I would have to say fire Doug and bring in someone else to salvage Carson Wentz. At this point, if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, priority number 1 is salvaging Carson Wentz because not only A, 2017 Wentz is probably still in there somewhere, and B, financially, you have to try to do that because you can't move on from Carson Wentz from a salary cap point. Unless there's some weird justification of like, well, we played Jalen Hurts and let's just act like Jalen Hurts is our $30 million quarterback. Like, just value the quarterback position as one salary cap hit. I don't know. That's just like weird mental gymnastics that you're pulling at that point. But again, as I wrap this video up, DK Metcalf burned the Philadelphia Eagles. Y'all know I would have drafted him. It's one of those things. I actually had a dream. I had a dream last night. That in that draft, Philadelphia in the first round drafted A.J. Brown. And in the second round, they drafted DK Metcalf. And there's all this cut scenes of 2 Ole Miss wide receivers standing. And then I woke up. And it's a living nightmare here in the Eagles land. What do you guys feel about it? Let me know in the comment section below. I know everyone likes voicing their opinion. What's going on with Howie, Doug, Carson Wentz? What you feel about last night's game? I think last night's game was just all of everything that's wrong with Philadelphia on full display. It was a shit show. So that'll do it for me today, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with Baltimore Ravens Realistic Rebuild. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.